Musicians, here's why it's way harder to have success if you're in a band. This is coming from someone who's been in a band for over 10 years. First thing is first, you just have to split the payments. So if you're in a 4-piece band, for example, and you make $400, you actually only made $100. And if you want to put some money aside to be financially responsible, you got to divide it by 5 ways, and that means you made like $80. So however many members are in your band, you need to add a multiple of that number to the income that you want to generate. So if you want to make $400 in a night, you can't make $400, you have to make $1,600. The second thing is it's very hard to find 3 or 4 people that are as driven as the main person who's actually trying to become a professional musician. There's a natural law called Price's Law, which means the square root of any given number of people will be responsible for 50% of the output. So if you got a 4-piece, that means one person is responsible for 50% of everything. So you have to really get all the band members on the same page as to what the goal is and what's required to reach it and what they need to do to play their part in getting to that goal. Otherwise, they'll build an expectation that that one person will just take care of everything. And once that precedent is set, it is very hard to undo. Number 3, the last few years culturally, people don't really dive into bands as much as they do personalities. So unless every member of the band has like a unique personality for the fans to dive into, they're most likely going to dive in on the singer. And been in a band where we had a singer who passed away and then had to get a new singer. That's one of the most difficult things that you can try to overcome as a band is your sound is established by your singer. And then if you lose your singer, everyone's going to hear the sound differently. So it's a very sensitive enterprise. You either all have to have some kind of gimmick or something that gets people to remember you, or your singer has to be charismatic enough to be the personality that everyone's attracted to with your band. And if they don't do their job or they do it poorly or they don't want to be that kind of person, then good luck. The whole like 4 dudes in just casual t-shirts and jeans on stage, like that's not enough for marketing anymore or establishing a brand. You just blend in with everyone else. Now, if you're in a band or you're trying to start a band and you maybe feel a little discouraged after watching this, just keep in mind, I'm still in my band. I didn't quit just because things are more difficult to have success in a band. I'm just pointing out some of the things that you'll have to deal with if you choose to go the band route. Because believe it or not, there are still some bands that are making some waves. They just have the characteristics that I mentioned, like Sleep Token, for example. So don't be discouraged, but be realistic and know what you're getting involved with. If that doesn't sound like something you really want to mess with, then maybe being in a solo project is your best bet and hiring the musicians to join into your project. What do you think? Let me know.